Okay, so now go back to your rally point, choose the assault point, and we can just use a little eyedropper to select that rally point. Oh. That assault point. Let's see. Oh, we got to give it a name. It's not letting us do it because it doesn't have a name. Assault 1 underscore, and this is our assault point 1. So basically keep our naming convention from our rally point. Go from assault 1 rally point 1 to assault 1 assault point 1. And we'll link our rally point to our assault point. Oh, what's going on? Oh, there you go. It is doing it. Just couldn't see it happening. And we got to make sure that these points, these straight lines, don't intersect any geometry, because if they do, it's not going to work. Your guy's not going to run. A lot of people have that problem with assault points, going through walls and stuff, thinking they'll run through the doorways, and it just doesn't work. So you actually have to set a couple different rally points if you want them to go around it, in my experience. So we'll move that guy over there. We'll also select or create a new rally point. We'll select this rally point here, and next assault point we'll choose to be that guy. Oh, we got to give it a name as well, different name. So we'll name it. Can't be the same name. We'll call it assault point. Let's just try 2. Assault point 2. It's going to depend on if you have a bunch of different rally points and you start adding more assault points. The different way that you end up naming it can get confusing, but since we only have the one, let's just do this for now. Bring that back up. Next assault point is this guy right there. Assault point 2. Apply. Okay, so now you got assault rally point, assault point 1, assault point 2. And if we look at the other options in our assault point key values, you'll notice that there's assault timeout. So the amount of time he's going to stay there before he moves on to the next one, if there's no one. 3 seconds is kind of a long time just to sit there and do nothing. So you just put like a second or even no seconds. If there's no one there, he'll just keep running right past. You'll kind of see him stand up for a second maybe and then keep running. It's just kind of an unfortunate thing. Looks a little silly, but it does the job. And we can choose to clear out the enemies at each assault point if they find them. How strict is it that they go directly to this point, not just kind of looming around it? Is it urgent? Are they going to run right to this point again? Should they not stray? You can give different senses of urgency. Okay, so we've got our guy who's going to be created using our point template. Once he is created, we've assigned him to this assault. Any of those guys that get created, we've assigned to an assault group. And we've set the rally. Well, we haven't set the rally point. We need to set the rally point for that guy as well. So we'll set the rally point to this assault 1 rally point 1. Make sure that's set. The search type, it's going to search by entity name, or you can choose entity class. Start active. We could start active, so right away he'll run to this rally point, and then we'll actually have to start the assault. Or we could keep it at no and actually have an entity system that does it. So let's keep it at no, and we'll set up some additional entities to do the job for us. And we talked about the priority there. So okay, so let's set up that trigger, which is going to do a few things. It's going to actually generate our guy and then get him on the warpath, basically. So we can just set up an area of our map here. Maybe switch back to our block tool. We'll create an area. Basically, if we're standing in this area of our map, we're going to generate guys. That's what we'll do. So just bring that up. Well, now we'll go back to a trigger. Select the trigger. Create it. And we're going to tie this to an entity. Control T or hit it down in your new objects bar there. We're going to change it to a trigger. Oh, keep your mouse cursor in the box. Trigger underscore multiple. You could use a once, but we want to keep triggering guys if we're standing in this space. So trigger multiple. Apply that. We add an output. Now, okay, before we add these outputs, we could add the outputs to from this trigger directly to our two different entities here, our point template and our assault, our goal assault. But it may be more useful to talk about using an entity that we saw when we were looking at our fizzbox, the logic relay. Now, if we use a logic relay, we can give the logic relay the different parameters, the different outputs to spawn our template man, our soldier, and to put him on the assault path. Then we can simply get multiple triggers set up. Maybe we'll even shrink this trigger that we've got here and make a couple of them. They will point to, in one output, point to trigger in the relay, which will do the other work. So we could easily just be duplicating our triggers and putting them around and not cause too much confusion. So, okay, our logic relay, we'll set a couple out points. First, we're going to add an out point that points to, on trigger, points to our generator. So we'll go combine generator, and when we trigger it, we want to force the spawn of a new guy. And right now it's only one guy. We could add additional guys to the template, and then, obviously more guys would appear every time we trigger this logic relay. We want no delay, have that happen right away. Let's also add an on trigger for the, let's see, which one are we looking for the assault goal, the goal. So we want our goal here, our AI goal assault. We want to trigger that to first activate, to become active. And it's good to leave it not active until trigger turns it on, in case you have a big level and you don't need these guys just sitting there at the waiting in your level. You can generate them only once the player gets to a certain area of the map. And we'll give that a slight delay. Something separates it in our list here by time from the force spawn. So they've been generated, and then a moment later they've become active. And we can just copy, paste that same guy, since we're going to use the same target entity. On trigger, target the goal, and we'll switch from activate to begin assault. So now they're on the warpath. We can change that to be a little bit later as well, so that they happen in sequence. Okay, so now we just need a way to trigger our logic relay, which we can do with this guy that we created back here. So, selection tool, bring up the properties, add an output, and our output will on trigger will mean every time that we're actually in this trigger multiple. If we just stand inside of it, it'll keep triggering, keep triggering, keep triggering. So we're just going to keep generating guys, which may actually be kind of cool right now. We could also do an on start touch, so only the first time we touch it, a guy will appear. And we could add multiple ones so that as you hit different locations, or as you kind of move through a level, as you cross planes, more guys will become active, make just kind of a field of guys charging at you. But right now, let's just do on trigger. On trigger, we're going to go to our relay, which we actually did not name. So let's get out of here for a second and grab our relay back there, logic relay. We'll name it assault. Assault 1 relay. Okay. Can't have an input or an output without a name. So back to our trigger, go back to our output that's not finished, and we're going to target the, not the rally point, we're going to target, where's our relay? Our assault goal relay, there it is. Assault goal relay via the input of just trigger. So as soon as that gets triggered, made the connection, it's going to do the other three things that we already identified. And, if we wanted, we could shrink this guy down a bit and just duplicate it, put it on the other side. So there's this gap in the middle. If we don't step here, we'll be okay. Or maybe the other way around would actually be more interesting. We'll put it in the middle, and maybe we'll put one, rotate it, put it over on the side or something. If we just stand where we are, or we stand on one of the sides, guys won't appear. But if we stand in the middle here, guys are just going to keep appearing. That sounds kind of interesting to me. Okay, so let's double check everything. We start our map. We got our weapons and everything will pop up. As soon as we hit this trigger, it's going to trigger multiple times if we stand inside it, and it's going to trigger our assault relay to trigger. So we'll go over to our assault relay, take a look at what it's doing. As soon as this gets triggered by our brush over there, our volumetric trigger, it is going to do three things, output three things. It's going to force a spawn from our combine generator. That should be this guy. Yep. It's also going to activate our goal assault, and it's going to begin the assault on that. Now, as soon as we generate our guy, let's check that this guy's working out. Just walk you through it. The point template, the assault 1 combine generator, is going to generate a template of one guy, which is this guy, our assault 1 combine 1. There it is, assault 1 combine 1. He's going to create an assault 1 combine with the wildcard, so anything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going up the list. And then immediately, once the assault path is activated, they're going to go to the rally point, the assault 1 rally point 1, which is this guy here. We should be able to actually change that up, set the rally point to a wildcard as well. I believe. If that doesn't work, we'll know why. Okay. And then once they get to the rally point, it's going to go to the assault point 1. Assault point 1 is going to go on to assault point 2, where they'll probably be shooting at me the entire time. So that's how it should work. Let's save our scene, give it a run. I hope maybe it'll work. If it doesn't work, the only thing might be that rally point. We'll have to identify it explicitly. If we had more guys, we'd add more rally points and more assault points. All right, here we go. Got all our stuff. The guy shouldn't be over there. He's not there. He's not generated yet. So once we hit our trigger over here somewhere, he should be generating. This looks like he's actually generated. Oh, he generated in that one. Okay. So you saw him run right over there. Okay, so he's going to hide now. Okay, we killed him. So just apparently I forgot where we put our triggers. Our triggers right over here and right over here. So if we just kind of hit the trigger. Oh, he comes running right away. Let's see if we stand inside. There's one over here too. You'll see him just appearing. Just appear, and they go running right over to their assault point. Okay. Oh, we just have to get through these guys. These guys are fighting. Okay. And we hit our trigger again, which makes this complicated. If we get out of our trigger, excuse me. All right, let's end these guys. Okay, let's catch our breath without standing one of our triggers. You can see how putting these things around the place, especially if you were generating a group of guys instead of just the one. I mean, if we just kept generating squads of guys launching at you, be kind of crazy. But if we get up here, hit our trigger right in the middle of our screen. Oh, there's the guy. Our trigger's right here. Another guy gets generated. A couple guys got generated. Alright, well I think you get the idea. So, let's exit out of there. You can see how those guys are on a much better warpath than they ever were when they're just sitting there shooting. Assault paths. Really, really great way to set up paths for, especially your single player games where you're running through your level and you can suddenly spawn a bunch of different guys using the spawning methods we talked about and get them on different assault paths. You can actually set up multiple paths. So you could have a squad of guys all go different directions. They don't all have to go to that one path. If we added more guys, duplicated them, and adjusted the point template to produce more, we could set up additional rally points, additional assault points using the trusty wildcards. And they would all go to their assigned rally points and assault points. So experiment with that. Try making groups of guys all assault different directions. I mean, you could surround a player and give them a lot of trouble. So that's NPCs, generating different NPCs and generating them with a little more intelligence than normal. But there's a lot to AI, so take a look